E.T. Asadam Carter and the Uncle Jaseneb Dua Henu, and thank you for listening. Greetings, my name is Asaram Ka. Uh, this is the Praisers of the Divine Network, or University, if you will. Um, Give a shout out to all the Ba'u and Ra, all the souls in Ra that tune into us on a regular basis. I've been crazy busy. We just did the debate not that long ago, and now I've been putting forth or putting together some information concerning Ma'at, so that people can have a better grounded foundation in Ma'at, if you will, a better understanding and comprehension of the law that all forms are created in. So I've been a little busy. I do apologize for being away for so long. A lot of things going on. More importantly than the rigmarole and the I'm debating so and blah 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 and this new information, blah 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 blah. I'm bringing you back home so you can understand the information that's been looked over for all these years in the first place. But as we always start, ahem, to Netshare, in particular, Amin Ra, O thou beautiful being, thou dost renew thyself and make thyself young again under the form of Aten. Ani says to Ra, thou turnest thy face towards the underworld, and thou makest the earth to shine like fine copper. The dead rise up to see thee. They breathe the air, and they look upon thy face when Aten shineth in the horizon. I have come before thee that I may be with thee to behold thy face Aten daily. O thou who art in thine egg, who shinest from thy from thy Aten. So a quick hymn to Ra, and of course to the Aten. And let's begin. Today's lesson, I bring it up because a lot of my friends run into this because they're players. You playboy, you digital playboy, you hollered at all the honeys, you know. I used to be that way myself. I'm slowing down in my older age. You probably that way at home. You need to slow it down a little bit. Ladies, these younger ladies, you see the same mannerisms in the ladies that you would have found from a guy in the 80s. A lot of you digital play girls, digital play boys, you need to slow it down a little bit. So today we're going to talk about being mindful and being careful of seduction, because seduction can get you in a lot of trouble and get you a lot of things you don't want. A lot of things that from not just the sexually transmitted diseases. I hope you all are practicing safe sex, by the way, but it can get you in trouble spiritually, which is very important. A lot of you aren't very grounded. A lot of you do not use ma'at in its proper pretense, and because you do not, you have a lot of troubles. You have a lot of woes because you're not grounded in anything. Okay, you should be grounded in ma'at. This is what the Tipawi tell you. The ancestors tell you this. This is what we try to convey through stories of the Netcharu and the mythos. This is what we're trying to drive home to you. When you live a Ramesh lifestyle, ma'at should be your key, should be your guide, should be your foundation as you were created in it. Right? So let's go to Ptah. Let's go to Ptah. Ptah usually has some pretty good wisdom. I like to use Ptah a lot, but I use Aminem Opt, I use Aminem Op, I use Mary Ra, I use a lot of different Seshu scribes from back in the day. It's important that you're familiar with them because that's who you get this wisdom through. There's a chain. My Muslim brothers will tell you before I get endowed. It's a chain, right? Let me give you the Islamic chain. It's a form of Salafi. Islamic chain started like this. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who is God, the Nabi, or the Rasul sallallahu alayhi wasallam, the Prophet Muhammad, may peace be upon him, the Sahaba radiallahu anhu, radiallahu anha, the companions of the Prophet, male or female, and that chain continues on down through your sheikhs and imams and whoever else. For my Muslim brothers who are listening, you're familiar with this chain. Some of my heck in the chair brothers, the praises are divine, you may not be as familiar with this chain. Or Christian brothers, you may not be as familiar with this chain of knowledge. My Hebrew brothers, you're generally familiar with it because your tradition starts similarly to the Islamic brothers, right? So that's how the chain of knowledge should flow and follow through. So this is why we pull from the seshu. So when my Muslim brothers, and I think this is one of the silly questions that you do ask, because you show it in your chain. You show it that you're not a blind madhab. You don't follow blindly. You ask, why do you follow your fathers and your mothers from before? Why do you follow your ancestors? Because they had the knowledge. They still have the knowledge. And you pull from it as we pull from it, right? So that's kind of a silly question to ask. But let's go to Maxim 18 for everybody listening. It's not a knock on my ox. I'm just telling you. It's to ask. On the dangers of seduction. If you want to maintain friendship in a house where you are welcome as master, brother, or friend, or anywhere where you are made at home, beware of getting too close to the women or touching them. Now, my Muslim brothers have a rule. It's called Xena, and they say even when you put the money in the hand of the cashier, and she's female and you're male, or vice versa, he's male and you're female, this is zina. This is a sin. This is a problem. This is an issue. Heck in the chair, we don't have that problem because we do promote that you try to start a relationship. That's not a sin. What is a sin is when you come into the house of someone else and this is their wife, or this is their daughter, and they may have an issue with you dating that particular person or something of that nature. Okay, so the seductive power is very powerful. You have to be careful, even from the touching and the handshakes and the glances, the eyes, the eye contact that you may make. This can cause a serious offense. This can cause a problem, right? This can make someone have discord with you because you're very touchy with the wife, with the friend, or with a daughter. Young boy comes in, friend of the parent, his parents come over to your parents, young boy sees the girl, hey, what's up, ma? Doing, which is, hey, how you doing? But then maybe they touch, they hug, which starts to lead to other nuances. And when those other nuances start to come into play, this is when that type of issue starts to form. Let's go further, right? The gaze of a man who is a trusted visitor in someone else's house is never innocent enough when he looks at women. We just talked about that, right? Thousands of men have spoiled their lives by falling into the trap of seduction. What one takes at first to be delicate porcelain can turn out to be as hard as marble. A brief dreamlike moment of pleasure will bring you to a bad death for having given in to a seductress. All right. That's pretty serious, right? How many people do you know have had fights or some type of discord or some type of issue or some act of turpitude has been committed because they think that you're trying to talk to their female? I'm sure you can think of a lot. How many people do you know, or have you seen, or have you been accused of, just when you walk in the store? This happens generally when a guy has a very beautiful woman. Um, Sometimes vice versa. Generally, when a guy has a very beautiful woman. I know because I've dated some beautiful women, and walking with them would sometimes become a chore in the mall, in a public area, because some guys are disrespectful. Some women are disrespectful, and they'll talk to your guy the same way, right? And some of the guys are not decent enough to check a female who's trying to talk to him in front of his girl. And some girls are not decent enough to check a guy when she's being talked to by the opposite sex and she's walking with her man. And this is what caused the beef right here. This is what can cause you a bad death. Because you may get a little too howdy in your methods, and you may try to take somebody's girl while they're there, or do it on the low when you think they're not looking. This can lead to a fight. This can lead to arguments. This can lead to shooting. This can lead to a lot of different situations. Now I'm from a different school, right? If you try to talk to my girl and she responds, we let her go, we replace her, we get a new one. I don't chase some, I replace some, huh? But not everybody thinks like that. Not everybody is as strong-minded as that. And some people are even more strong-minded, and whatever they committed to initially, they want to keep for the rest of their life, especially when they've had children with this person, when they put a ring on this person, when they've been through good times, bad times, and they're just going through a rot time, and she just happens to be open for the moment, right? So you have to be mindful and respectful enough that when you see two people together, or when you know two people are together, when you know there's some type of union between two people, to not intervene. Don't intervene. Don't do it. If they're not married, that's another thing. Still up for grabs. No one's committed to anything, but it's still respectful. You know, there's probably, I think it's about 5 men to 15 women. So, men, we don't really have an excuse. You understand what I'm saying? Men, we don't have an excuse for this. There's so many women. You don't need to chase my man's girl. There's beautiful women all over the world waiting for you. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Now, women, it's a little different. But there's generally plenty of men for you in the world. You just happen to want this particular one. So we have to be mindful of that, because as soon as you start to do that, as soon as you start to invade other people's privacy in that fashion, you know what happens? The physicality comes into play. We start getting personal. We start getting possibly detrimental. It can become violent. You can go on YouTube and see a plethora of people fighting over spouses, girlfriends, friends that they supposedly care about. They're supposedly dating. This is on YouTube, Facebook, Google. It's everywhere. It's because we forget these rules. It's because we forgot maxim number 18 at some point in time. But it's time to get back in tune with maxim 18. Let's finish reading it. Don't behave frivolously. Those who do suffer grievous loss. Such behavior is certainly not profitable and brings nothing good. A man who takes on his rival in love risk, making a serious mistake, you're making a serious mistake when you risk. Pardon my language. So one time I made, it's not even really a cuss word, because we call it ass betting. We don't let our buttocks write a check that our heinies cannot cash. You understand what I'm saying? You don't put your hiney on the line against someone who is in love or a rival to try to show them up, right? I got an enemy. I did this before. This is a shame. I took his girl because he was a rapper. Rest your soul, baby boy. This is my boy now afterwards. But he was a rapper. Challenged me to an MC battle. It was the Ogden Theater or something like that. And he lost. And he lost bad because his girl liked me too. So I took his girl. I was young. I was hard-headed. It was young Haru. Now I'm older Asar. Older Wasir. Wasarimka. Older. Mindful now. As a young youth running wild, I did the worst. And I apologized to him later in life about that. And that created a lot of enmity between me and him. You know, where guns could have got involved. So I'm giving you real life stuff so that you can relate, because you probably have real life stories that relate to this type of story. Probably one of your homeboys did this to somebody. Probably you might have done this to somebody if you were out there like that, right? So these are the things we have to be mindful of. Like I said, a man who takes on his rival in love risk is making a serious mistake, perhaps even committing a crime. Besides, it is bad policy to encourage an attack on one's rival. On the point of doing so, conscience must intervene. Don't behave like this. It is a loathsome behavior in any way you can. Thus, spare yourself daily suffering. This can make somebody suffer daily. And I know he suffered daily over it because he eventually committed suicide recently, a couple months ago, over another female he was involved with. So I can imagine when we were younger how he felt about that particular female, because she was fine. That girl was bad. I ain't gonna say her name. But this is when we were young. As he got older, this carried over to other things in his life. And for him to commit suicide over the situation recently, rest your soul, Ant One, that tells me that I did him wrong, which is why I'm happy that I had apologized for it. And we became friends afterwards. But later in life, you know, it affected him later. Let's finish this maxim out, right? The man who constantly misbehaves, lusting after seductive women, will find his plans do not work out. Whereas the man who manages to overcome his lust, all his plans will succeed. So now we're talking about being a slave to lust, being a crackhead, being addicted to seduction, beautiful women, sexual behavior. I gotta have it now. Yo, you know how these teens run around right now, right? These teens act like that's the only thing in the world that matters is having sex. We as adults have to show them the difference in our behavior, in our actions, in our ways. Don't forget this maxim. Lock it into your mental Rolodex, because this is important for you to not show your children arguments over the phone, chasing after this girl, fighting in the streets, fighting in the club over guys, fighting in the club over women, chasing after, making death threats because this girl don't want you no more. Right? Doing the most for a female that's not truly yours. She's not yours. Doing the most for a man who is not truly yours. Baby girl, he's not yours. Nature will provide a different one for you. Nature will provide a different one for you. Wait, take your time. You probably need to establish yourself before you move further. Yet you lust after this female as if you could provide her the world. You lust after this male as if you could provide him the world, and you probably cannot, which is probably why his eye does not turn towards you, and vice versa, why her eye doesn't turn towards you. That you would rather make a rival out of a man who she's currently with, probably doing better for her, who nature has provided for her. You would make a rival of that man because of her beauty, because of his handsomeness. You would disrespect the laws of nature. You would chase seductively after someone who is not yours. They're not yours. But you will run after them as if they were, ready to lay your life on the line for love risk. Be careful of seduction. We must carry ourselves in ma'at. We must stay righteous. We must stay righteous. We must stay ank uja senef. We must stay in good life. We must stay in good strength, and we must stay in good health. These are the things that will keep you mentally sane, not chasing after beautiful women and handsome men. If it's meant to be, it's going to come. Ask through the proper channels, and we know what those are. Right? Think about these things before you step outside, before you go to that place where a lot of women will be, before you go to that place where a lot of men will be, and carry these morals. Do not fall victim to seduction. That's my time. Uncle Jasaneb, I wish you all well, Ba'u Emra. Remember who you are, be an Asar, and check on the www.kemetempire.com. That's www.kmtempire.com. I will be hosting the Ma'at class shortly. It's a module you can download, and there'll be a question. There's a question location on our forum, and I will see you soon. Uncle Jasaneb. Dua.